morning. I'm Gabriel Porras with SCW News and Gabriel Porras Reports in Stockton. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are following developments in our local races. The San Joaquin County Registrar of Voters Office has just released a set of data in our local election results for 2020. We are now prepared to make a call for the heavily contested race for Stockton mayor. We can now project that Kevin J. Lincoln will lead California's 13th largest city by serving as the city of Stockton's 80th mayor. We made this call due to the fact that Lincoln currently has a lead of 11,000 votes above Tubbs, with a current voter turnout of 68.75% in this race, and only 7,000 or about 7,000, a projection of 7,000 ballots left to be counted countywide for several different contests. The Republican Lincoln pulled off a stunning upset, ousting incumbent Democrat Mayor Michael Tubbs, who initially beat Lincoln in the primaries by over 10,000 votes. This comes after a long-fought campaign, with the peak of it coming during a global pandemic. The voters have now spoken again, evidently electing Lincoln as mayor. Kevin Lincoln is a native of Stockton, having been born 40 years ago in this region. Lincoln left his hometown to serve as a U.S. Marine, eventually finding his way back here where he went on to become a husband and father of two. Most recently, Lincoln has gained a local following and reputation as serving as an executive pastor at Lifesong Church in Stockton's Country Club community, a Christian church in Stockton's Country Club community. Now, as a lifelong Stocktonian myself and as a journalist in the city for about half a decade now, I can tell you that this election has been somewhat of a referendum on a schism that has been slowly growing between the city's residents. This election cycle saw divisive, heated, and at sometimes hate-filled rhetoric on social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter, especially from the extremes on both sides. Lincoln told the Stockton Record that he ran because of the division that he saw in the city. Now, some could argue that the campaigns themselves created more division, and that they didn't help with the division that was already there. Although again, voters have spoken now, electing Kevin Lincoln as the next mayor. He has garnered enough votes to put him in a position this evening above incumbent Mayor Tubbs, and far enough above that we have decided to call the race. Lincoln will be inaugurated into office in January. Before then, we anticipate to see preparations, potentially posts by these candidates or statements, as well as more preparations on that move. Lincoln campaigned on homelessness and crime, making those two of his signature issues in Stockton. And again, we are projecting tonight that Kevin Lincoln will be able to work on just that, as he is expected to be elected the next mayor of the city of Stockton. I want to bring in the numbers here for those of you who may be watching a little bit closer to show you how far that difference is. It's, as you can see, 11,547 votes separate the two. Kevin Lincoln currently at 56.19% of the votes this evening, with his opponent, Michael Tubbs, the Democrat there, at 43.81%, which is why we're able to project this race at this point to Lincoln. Moving on, however, to some of our other local races that we're following for City Council District 6, Kimberly Wormsley is still in the lead, still has her strong lead that she's been holding since election night with 70.03% of the votes. Gloria Allen trailing with 29.97%. Moving on to board for County Supervisor Board Area number 5, you can see this election has actually been flipped since our last update. Initially, Rhodocia Ransom was in the lead, but now Tracy Mayor Robert Rickman is in the lead for this race with 50.40% of the votes, with Rhodocia Ransom having 49.60%, although it is a very close race at this point, with 516 votes separating the two, so potentially on the course for a recount as well if we get it to that point. For Measure X in San Joaquin County, voters appear to be on track to approving it, with 64.53% of the votes going yes on that, 35.47% going on no. I want to also bring in results from some of our other local races that we are also following today. Scroll up here to show you this page. This is the dashboard from the Registrar of Voters Office on their website. You can see 74.33% voter turnout countywide so far. That will likely increase by a small margin during the next update. For Congressional District 9, Jerry McNerney, the incumbent, is poised to keep his seat with 57.72% of the votes. Susan Eggman, poised to take the Senate District 5 seat with 57.70% of the vote. Moving on to Assembly District 13, Carlos Villapudoa is in the lead. This race has also been flipped from what we saw in the previous days after election night. Carlos Villapudoa is in the lead with 51.24% of the votes. Initially, Kathy Miller was in the lead, but as you can see, a pretty wide margin now. It seems like he could be the one to take this race, depending on what we get in our next updates. For County Board of Education member trustee area number 3, Doug Vigil, still in the lead there. His lead he's been holding since election night with 66.04% of the votes. Moving on to San Joaquin Delta Community College District Board member trustee areas. For Area 2, Elizabeth Blanchard is in the lead. Area 5, Kathy Garcia in the lead there. And Area 6, Teresa Brown in the lead for that race. For Stockton Unified trustee areas, for number 1, Cecilia Mendez, the incumbent, she is in the lead with 66.03% of the votes. For area number 3, an interesting race here, Alicia Rico is in the lead with 35.87% of the votes. This race has also flipped since our previous updates. In the days after election night, the person in second place, Valentino Silva, was actually in the lead. He had a pretty commanding lead, although he has lost that now to Alicia Rico, who is in lead by a few votes. We could still see changes in that depending on what results we get in the following days. For area number 4, Ray Zulueta improving his lead with 39.21% of the votes. His opponent there, the incumbent Ling Lentau, at 30.24. Moving on to Lincoln Unified Board members, for trustee area number 2, Ashley Jones in the lead, and trustee area number 4, Sandra Chan, in the lead in that race. Now again, the main news this evening is that we are able to call the race for Stockton Mayor Kevin Lincoln there. Is expected to be elected the next mayor of the city of Stockton. That inauguration likely happening in January, and the results for this election will be certified in December, so we'll have final totals. But again, we are projecting this evening that Kevin Lincoln will be elected the next mayor of the city of Stockton. And that's the latest updates from San Joaquin County this evening. The Registrar of Voters Office plans to put out another update on results tomorrow around 9 p.m. You can access that by yourself by visiting the Registrar of Voters Office. Thank you for tuning in the past few nights. I can tell you that when I first sat at this desk on November 3rd, the election night, I had no idea I'd still be here 2 weeks after election night, and I'm glad you tuned in and stayed on as well. Be sure to stay on this page for more captivating stories and news from Stockton and across the area from me. For now, though, thank you for watching and have a good evening.